close.
Speak up. Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to switch into my theater voice. Hi, my name is Flanagan. I'm 17 years old and I'm a senior at Chapel Hill High School.
Woo!
I am planning to study political science and environmental science in college because I cannot imagine putting my time into anything else when we are in the middle of a catastrophe with a magnitude as great as climate change. I'm going to start off my speech with a little story. When I was little, about 8 years old, my grandmother got my dad a coffee mug for Christmas. The box for it said, "Global warming mug. Watch our coastlines disappear." The mug inside the box had a projection of the globe on it, and it was designed to show, as your hot drink heated up the little world on the mug, what parts of the world would be underwater in the future due to climate change. That Christmas was nearly 10 years ago. We already knew how serious of a global threat climate change was, and we had gotten to the point of making global warming paraphernalia, showing how much trouble we would be in. And yet, the whole world had barely lifted a finger to do anything. The majority of us went on living our lives like nothing was wrong. The threat was not as visible as other issues, so many of us were able to imagine our future, our education, our jobs, our lives as we knew them, without global warming having any influence on them. As I got older, I just held the fact in the back of my mind, becoming scared and angry every time I was reminded of the repercussions of climate change. Despite my lack of action, I felt justified in my anger because I believed that climate change was a huge problem that was the fault of big business and the responsibility of politicians. Because my generation wasn't born in time to contribute to the emissions and environmental destruction before climate change was connected to humans, it was my grievance to have, but not my obligation to fix. It wasn't until my junior year that I finally comprehended that solving climate change falls on all of us now, and that failing to be a part of the solution makes you part of the problem. I started every day of the year in AP Environmental Science, being confronted with issues that boggled my mind with their severity and persistence, ranging from a lack of family planning to rampant deforestation that either amplified or were amplified by climate change. I ultimately realized, after 10 years of near oblivion, that global warming is the single greatest threat that we are facing, and that I needed to devote my time to it. The one thing that we need more than hope is action, as Greta Thunberg says. My progress may be minuscule in comparison to the efforts of others, but I finally began to take action. This past spring, I seized the first opportunity that presented itself and applied for a North Carolina Teen Summit for Project Drawdown. Through that summit, I learned how to become my high school's team leader for the Drawdown Eco Challenge, a competition that aims to introduce Project Drawdown's top 100 most significant solutions we have to reduce our carbon footprint into people's everyday lives by promoting small changes like eating less meat, using transport with less emissions, and learning about empowering women. My high school's team finished with 100 members and in 23rd place out of the over 1,000 teams participating. Before attending that summit or participating in the Eco Challenge, I felt like there was nearly nothing that I could do when we were already in so deep. But to reference Greta again, once we start to act, hope is everywhere. After the Eco Challenge, I saw how significant the influences of my small changes could be. I realized that people around me were willing to revise the choices that they made after they recognized the importance of their own decisions. That little glimpse of empowerment and the sense that I did have some control over my future, and that the people around me did as well, was all that I needed to keep going. I decided to sign up for the Citizens Climate Lobby International Conference and Lobby Day in Washington, D.C., and to keep using the influence that I didn't realize I possessed for such a long time. I wanted to show the Congress people who were not taking action on climate change, who I pictured as stubborn conservatives, how ignorant they were. However, when I got to the conference, many of the attendees and mentors who educated me thoroughly on the bill that I was lobbying for, promoted using facts and level-headedness, and taught me the ins and outs of how to lobby effectively, were the conservatives who I had never expected to encounter at the conference. They were simply advocating for their own beliefs, educating people around them, and embracing anyone who could be their ally in finding a solution to a common issue. They and all of the attendees of the conference, whether they were Democrat, Republican, young, or old, taught me that emphasizing similarities and common concerns in the name of making a difference is far more effective than alienation on account of differences.
Woo!
Especially when interacting with political figures. There we go, okay. David Price, our representative, Go Chapel Hill, he co-signed our bill, and we are very grateful, but we haven't won over the other two congressmen that I lobbied to co-sign onto the Carbon Dividend and Energy Innovation Act. Yet. As frustrating as that is, I am appreciative that they took the meeting with us. I truly believe that by realizing the significance of our own voices, through coming to their offices and having a professional discourse with them about our bill, we showed them how many constituents demand policy that prioritizes solutions to climate change, and hopefully will compel them to finally take climate-focused action for themselves. No matter who you are, you should care about climate change, and you are welcome in this movement. If you care about women's rights, we need you to help us advocate for family planning, empowering women, and educating girls. Gender equality is integral to controlling our population, our strain on resources, and ultimately our carbon emissions. If you care about poverty, we need you. Working to fight climate change is working to fight an issue that will exacerbate poverty and hurt the people the most who have hurt our planet the least. If you are a conservative or a Republican, we need you to help us address a bipartisan issue that will affect everyone's futures. Political divide, however prominent it may be, should never limit anyone from fighting for a cause that they care about, especially when 75% of Republicans under 40 support taxing carbon.
Woo!
We need absolutely everyone on board that we can get, because we are facing a threat to our existence that affects everyone and that has been set aside and swept under the rug for far too long. This is our breaking point. We are down to 10 years to make major remediations in our emissions and avoid raising temperatures more than 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. If we continue the ignorance that we have sustained for decades, and don't enact a plan as soon as possible designed to make zero emissions by 2050, we will face consequences of drought, famine, floods, wildfires, and other serious issues on a scale that we have never experienced before. We already have the solutions that we need. There is no excuse to defer our response to climate change any longer. We are all here today, missing valuable instruction time, missing work, interrupting our daily routines to show the world that we care about our future. To show policymakers that we care about our future. And that the people demand climate action and real solutions now. It is time for action. If you, anyone, and everyone around the world want to be remembered as the people who fought for a better tomorrow, and if you, policymakers, want to be remembered as the people who listen to the pleas of their constituents, the choice is yours. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Thank you.